Good morning. It's Monday, just after 9 o'clock, and we've got another episode from the Weather Desk. We're going to take a look at some of the big stories going on in the world of weather. My name is Craig Moeller. I'm a meteorologist at 13 News Now. A lot of folks finding us on the 13 News Now Plus app and out on YouTube. There's a bunch of different platforms. So for those of you outside of Hampton Roads, this is who I am. Again, a meteorologist, and I've been at this now for about 35 years or so, something like that. I think this is 35. All right, here are the weather headlines that we are going to tackle for you today. I'm really excited about this episode of the Weather Desk because there's some pretty interesting things going on. First topic, severe storms in strange places. If you haven't heard, this weekend, there was actually a tornado in a place that's never seen one before. I'll talk about that. You'll see some video, and we're going to talk about a first ever warning for a major metropolitan area. So that's a little teaser for that first topic. The next thing we're going to talk about today, seesaw weather. We've had temperatures up. We were a little cooler over the weekend. Now we've got a big warm up coming over the next couple of days in the mid-Atlantic, and then another plummet with those temperatures as we head into the weekend. So a lot to talk about there. Our third topic, a white Christmas. Could we see one? There's a chance for precipitation. We'll talk about the climatological chances, looking back at history, and who is more likely to see maybe a white Christmas and who will see one this year. I'm going to have all of that for you coming up. All right, here's our first topic. I mentioned severe storms in strange places, and I want to jump right into that. You take a look here, and we've got this focus on San Francisco and California. So this is a place they don't get tornadoes. Very, very rare, okay? They actually did have one confirmed tornado back in 2005, but they didn't issue a warning for that. It was something that the storm came through. They went back, analyzed the damage from that system, and they said, hey, there was this little weak tornado, but it was a tornado in San Francisco. Well, over the weekend, Saturday morning, as this system came through, it was a little bit earlier. It's this complex of storms. They actually issued their first warning. And we've got, again, some video that I want to show you from ABC on the weekend and the severe weather. So we're going to start off with a look at some of the snow that was developing over the central U.S. and the Northeast. There was light snow. There was freezing rain moving across the central part of the country. In Iowa, wind chills got down to 6 degrees below zero. There was freezing rain, and it just left everything encased with a thick layer of ice. Obviously, the roads included in that, so a lot of mess. You head out to California, that's where they had the destruction with the tornadoes. So here you go. You can see cars overturned. It was a really incredible sight for folks in California that just don't see those. It was an EF1 twister, and there were 90-mile-per-hour winds, and those cars flipped over. Now you've got to take a look at this. The wildfire issue becoming a greater concern out in California as well. They've got those warm Santa Ana winds. The wet weather over the weekend helped firefighters a little bit as they battled the nearly week-old fire there in Malibu, which was nearly halfway contained, but with the winds picking back up later today into tomorrow, the threat of new wildfires will increase. So it's been a really interesting go. I mentioned the storminess around San Francisco. They also had a lot of snow. You saw I-80, some of the different areas up into the mountains, they were hit with snow. So a lot of crazy weather out west. So here's a look at the satellite, the radar images this morning. I can tell you across the central U.S., there's that ice storm that moved through parts of Iowa. Let's take this full. I'm going to walk over and talk to you a little bit more about some of the wild weather over the weekend, all of this moving east. And eventually, you know, we had our showers early this morning here in the mid-Atlantic. So this is what I've been tracking throughout the morning around Hampton Roads. Light showers winding down for the Northeast U.S. You know, they had their share of wintry weather coming into New York State, Pennsylvania. They were cold enough for snow up there. Again, mid-Atlantic on south. We just had rain showers early this morning, and now this stuff is starting to wind down. There's still a few spits and sprinkles out there, but it was very, very light. Still, roads were damp around Hampton Roads, and it's been a really rough go off to the north and across the central U.S. All right, we're going to take you to another part of the world. Let's go across the Atlantic and head over into the Middle East, specifically Iraq because they were hit with a pretty powerful sandstorm, and we've got some video to show you of that as well. This is coming out of Iraq. You can hear some of the gnat sounds with the winds whipping there across Iraq. Basically, they had a fierce sandstorm. It swept through the capital there, Baghdad, as I mentioned, in Iraq. Visibility was reduced to only a few meters at times for some areas, and most of those braving the streets had to wear surgical masks to protect their faces, and they used scarves as well. Some shopkeepers had to immediately close up their doors, and while Iraq is prone to these seasonal sandstorms, they were raising the alarm. Experts and officials were over the frequency in recent years. They say it's exacerbated by record low rainfall, so those sandstorms kicking up with a little more frequency back across Baghdad. Wanted to share those interesting stories from across America and obviously back in the Middle East as well. All right, our next topic that we're going to talk about here, the seesaw weather for Hampton Roads. We've seen some temperatures up a little bit, got a little cooler over the weekend. We did get some rain over the past, last end of the work week and into the early part of the weekend. Things dried out over the weekend. But again, we needed that rain. We still could use some additional rain. We'll talk about that as we go forward. Now, the chances, again, here, what I really want to focus on, the warm-up that is coming after 3 days that were below average. We were close to average yesterday, and looking forward, we're going to see much warmer conditions. Basically, what we have here, there's a warm front that's going to gradually lift. We've got a stationary front just offshore. That's going to slide east a little bit. And with high pressure kind of bringing the winds up from the south and the southwest ahead of this, we're going to get a surge of warmer air. You take a look at this map, all right, and I'm not even going to put temperatures on it. I just want to talk to you about the change relative to normal. We're going to see warmer air building across the region today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. We're going to be above average. You notice the cold weather, though, starting to pool up in the north central U.S. This cooler air is going to sweep down later in the week. So today, temperatures are going to be close to 60. That's about 5 degrees or so above normal. As we go tomorrow, mid-60s to even upper 60s, and Wednesday we should be in the upper 60s as well. So that's why you see these colors shaded in orange here. But you'll notice these greens kind of pushing in. All right, we've got a change coming. There'll be a front that comes through Wednesday night. That's going to trigger chances for rain. Again, we could use the rain. It's a good thing. We'll welcome whatever we can get. That front comes through. Temperatures are going to start to trend down as we go into Thursday and Friday. But look at what's coming up for the weekend. When we talk about temperature anomalies and the big drop in temps, it's coming. Notice out west, they're going to see the warm up. It's kind of that seesaw, teeter-totter. Here comes the cold air into the mid-Atlantic. Saturday, highs are going to be in the lower to mid-40s. Much colder. Okay, so we go from mid to upper 60s Tuesday into Wednesday, back into the low to mid 40s on Saturday. And it looks right now like Sunday, you start to see some purple showing up right along the coast. In Hampton Roads, we're expecting temperatures to top out in the 30s on Sunday. So a huge temperature swing. And that's why we talk about the up and down with the seesaw. It's coming this weekend. I think Sunday morning, the low temperatures at the coast are going to be in the upper 20s. So we're talking about a hard freeze, and inland areas low to mid 20s early Sunday morning. So with some clearing Saturday night into Sunday morning, it's going to get bitterly cold across Hampton Roads. Now, other parts of the country may say, Craig, come on, 20s and 30s, that's not bad. We were talking about a wind chill below 6 degrees below zero in Iowa. Well, that's fine. The upper Midwest, they deal with those temperatures. We don't typically get that cold here in Hampton Roads. And right along the coast, you're talking temperatures in the 20s. It is going to be cold for us as we go through the weekend. So I wanted to give you that heads up. You take a look at the next 5 days, as I mentioned, mid to upper 60s for your Tuesday and Wednesday. Today, upper 50s, close to 60, warmer tomorrow, warmer Wednesday, and then behind that front, we get a 14-degree drop for Thursday. Friday, still around 51 or so, and then low to mid 40s on Saturday, even chillier on Sunday. That's your heads up for that. So really cold stuff coming up. All right, the next topic are chances for a white Christmas. And I love this. This is the time of year where folks start asking, and while they don't really expect expect to have a white Christmas here in Hampton Roads? A lot of folks think it would be a lot of fun just talking to people about it. And we do want to take a look at kind of historically what our chances are. Let's start off, though, with defining white Christmas, okay? A white Christmas is defined as having 1 inch or more of snow on the ground at 7 a.m. Christmas morning. So December 25th, 7 a.m., 1 inch of snow or more. All right. The last white Christmas that we had on record in Norfolk specifically was in 1966. All right. We actually had a pretty good snow there, about 4 inches, 4.5 inches, I believe that was. All right. So the chances for any given year, and this goes all the way back to 1890, when you look at all of our Christmases and you take a look, it's about 4.5 to almost 5%. I think it's 4.8%. The chances specifically. This is for Norfolk, all right? More recently, though, since 1970, it has hardly happened at all. I think one time, something like that. So our chances are only around 1% more, I guess, more recently. So when you look at the all-time history, back in the early 1900s, 1930s, 40s, we did have some white Christmases, but it's been a while. All right, you take a look at areas that currently have snow on the ground over the mountains. We've talked about heavy snow for some of the California mountains up into Oregon. You get up into the Cascades, they've got heavier snow up on the high elevation. Same deal with the Rockies. You've got your snow there. So these are areas that are certainly going to have a white Christmas. You've got chances across the northern tier, the upper peninsula of Michigan, they've had heavy snow, a lot of lake effect snow for New York State up into the northeast. For our area and areas down to the south through the central U.S., no snow on the ground right now. So what about the climatological chances for a white Christmas? Well, again, it's a certainty looking back over time that these areas shaded in white, they have basically a 100% chance. They always have a white Christmas. If you're up in the mountains of the Rockies, up in the Uintas or the Wasatch, you're up around Jackson Hole, you're going to have a beautiful white Christmas. It's going to continue up into much of Idaho and over the mountains there as you head into Washington, Oregon, and California. Across the upper Midwest, North Dakota into most of Minnesota, Wisconsin, again, Michigan, both upper and lower peninsula, really good chances for a white Christmas. And looking back, they always have snow on the ground for portions of Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont, back across upstate New York. There's frequently snow on the ground, so chances very good. Where you come into these areas shaded in blue, this is where it gets a little more 50-50. It's not 0, it's not 100%. It goes kind of year to year. There are chances. And again, being raised up as a child in the Midwest around St. Louis and Chicago, it was hit and miss. A lot of times we would have snow on the ground for Christmas. That's pretty cool, right? You get maybe a new sled. Santa brings you a sled. You could go out and play with it that day. It was awesome. So that was a thing. Back across the Ohio River Valley, again, chances. And then you see here over the Blue Ridge, in the Appalachians, there can be, and there's better chances for white Christmases up into the mountains. So you don't have to go too far. Now, if you look very closely across northern Virginia, there's a little bit of color shading, but the chances are lower. We're talking more like 10 to 20% across parts of the northern Piedmont and up towards D.C. In Norfolk, again, since 1890, I mentioned it's about 4.5%. Since 1970, it's around 1%. Again, that's at least 1 inch of snow on the ground. Do you remember back in 2010, though? We had a heavy snow. It started on Christmas Day. No snow on the ground at 7 a.m., so it didn't count as a white Christmas, but we got just under an inch before midnight on Christmas Day. It came out to 0.8 inches. It started during the late afternoon and early evening, and we just had a little bit of snow on the ground. And then the next day, the 26th, we had like 14 inches. It was an incredible heavy snow. So it's possible we could get hit. We just haven't really, climatologically speaking. Now, I wanted to pick a few other locations like Edenton in North Carolina, less than 1%. They're right there on the Albemarle Sound. That tends to moderate their temperatures a little bit. How about Naval Air Station Oceana? About a 1% chance of them having snow on the ground on Christmas morning at Oceana. How about Williamsburg? A little bit better chance. Farther inland, a little farther north, around 3%. And again, this is talking with the state climatologists and the folks out in Wakefield that follow the climate across the region. You know, the reporting data isn't quite as consistent and as long-standing as we've had in Norfolk. So if you were to take these numbers back over the last 100+ years, all the way back, you know, into the early 1900s or late 1800s, this number would be bigger for Williamsburg, but they haven't had the station there as long. As you take a look at Wallops Island, you go farther north, and even though Wallops is right there on the coast, they do tend to have a little bit higher chance of having snow on the ground for Christmas morning. I thought you might get a kick out of that. All right, so what about this year? Well, it doesn't look good for Hampton Roads. If you're team snow and you were really hoping we'd see it, you can see temperatures going to be warm and then cooling, as I mentioned, for the week. By Saturday, 44 is the high. As we look ahead to Sunday, 35 the high there. So it's cold with lows down into the 20s. You notice Monday still cold, 24. The morning low, 39 the afternoon high, partly cloudy. By Tuesday, now we're starting to warm it back up, 49 for a high. This is Christmas Eve, and 27. So you get it that warm, we're still dry, likely. Doesn't look like we've got much of a chance here. It will get back down into the upper 30s, maybe mid 30s for some areas, with a chance for showers coming in on Christmas Day. It's early, a lot could change. But with that afternoon high Tuesday warming the ground up to 49 degrees with that warmer weather there, it's not likely, even if we were to get a few wet snowflakes mixing in across parts of the area, it likely would be more wet than white there early Christmas morning. So not looking good, but again, you're talking, what, 9 days out, 10 days out. So we still have time for this forecast to change. If we got some colder air or something were to change a little bit, you can't completely rule it out. But again, the chances this year are pretty low. That's a look at our white Christmas chances. All right, finally, I want to take a look at the week ahead and a closer look. We're going to start off with our headlines. We had a damp start to the day. There was fog. There was drizzle. We've had showers. Still a little bit of that activity out there. It's going to warm up through midweek. I showed you those temperatures jumping up mid to upper 60s tomorrow and Wednesday, and then much colder weather comes in for the weekend. Those were the big headlines I was covering on 13 News Now Daybreak. Now, the high yesterday was 54. Our normal is 55, and for the year, we are 1.72 inches above normal. So we did get some soaking rains the end of last week. It was good to get those. We need them. Most of the areas in moderate drought. There's severe drought for some of the areas to the north. So we'll get that updated drought monitor this upcoming Thursday. The areas may shift a little bit because we did get some significant rain. We're likely to get some more rain and hopefully a nice little soaker late Wednesday into early Thursday morning. After that, our chances for rain drop significantly as we head towards the upcoming weekend. All right, we'll take a quick look. Our sky view down. This is a Priority Automotive sky view at the ocean front. Notice the wave action. I'm going to step over and head to the big board because while we do have some wave action out there, we have a small craft advisory still in place, 53 at the airport, and I wanted to show you the small craft advisory is up for the coastal waters. Those waves that you just saw on that sky view are about 4 to 6 feet, some of them just offshore, a little bit rougher. So we do have some large waves coming into the surf zone. It's a little bit rough out there. Small craft advisory, winds south and southwest, only 5 knots on the bay. So on the bay, it's pretty tranquil. But again, I did want to show you that condition down at the ocean front. All right, with our satellite and radar images, we've had some wet weather come through. We're enjoying a break. There are a few more sprinkles out to the west. Kind of saw this coming in. I thought we'd be drying out mid-morning. Honestly, we've got a few more it looks like that we'll deal with coming into the mid to late morning, but eventually that stuff's going to settle out. Our futurecast shows maybe a few pops of sunshine breaking through later this afternoon or pre-sunset, but generally it should be variably to mostly cloudy. Again, temperatures getting a little warmer into the mid-afternoon. As we go through the overnight, we'll deal with the clouds. Things should be pretty quiet. I don't anticipate any rain, although there could be a couple passing showers off to the north. The thing tomorrow, the temperatures start to jump up. And then as we look ahead to Wednesday, we're going to see it jumping up a bit more. So Wednesday looks pretty warm as well. We start off upper 40s to low 50s. That's 6 a.m. Wednesday. You think about the normal high, 55. So we're not too far from that at 6 a.m. As we go into the late morning, we're in the upper 50s and then into the 60s as we go through the afternoon on Wednesday. Looking ahead to Wednesday night, here comes that next front. You saw the rain coming through. This model just updated, and it's got that line pushing through with the front. Notice the wind's shifting, and that sets up the cooler weather coming in. Doesn't look like a tremendous amount of rain, but I do expect rain widespread late Wednesday, especially Wednesday evening into early Thursday. This is around 2:15 in the morning, that front coming through. And after that, the cooler weather transitions into the upcoming weekend. So highs today are going to be close to 59. Again, we've seen a few sprinkles. There's a little bit more out to the west. This activity dying out. As we go to the peninsula, you'll notice temperatures mid-50s for the most part. That's pretty close to average. Low 50s for the eastern shore. At the Outer Banks, low 60s with low to mid-60s around Edenton, Hertford, and Elizabeth City. Again, a chance for a few sprinkles, but the activity is very light, and it should continue to trend lighter and eventually taper off later this morning. All right, lows tonight near 51, mostly cloudy, obviously mild overnight. Tomorrow, we're going to find the temperatures back up around 66, so mostly cloudy. Again, these temperatures very warm for this time of year. We'll be up 11 degrees or so above normal for tomorrow. Those winds southwest at about 5 to 10. Pretty good looking day for your Tuesday. Hopefully you can take advantage of that because the changes are coming. We talked about that for the weekend. So you take a look at this. Temperatures trending down by Thursday back to 53. There's a chance for a few lingering showers on Thursday, but things should be improving. We're going to see clearing skies later Thursday into Friday, mostly sunny, 51. 44 on Saturday. And again, I'll bring up the overnight lows. On Saturday, we're going to dip down to about 33 degrees. So that's Saturday morning. Then we only reach the low to mid 40s Saturday afternoon. By Sunday morning, upper 20s. So really chilly there. And then 38 on Sunday for that high. Some areas a little cooler than that. So it is going to be noticeably chillier through the weekend and even into early next week. Temperatures should moderate a little bit, as I showed you that one model that showed Christmas temperatures getting back up closer to 50. Of course, as we get closer to Christmas, and, we'll start talking about that Christmas Day forecast now that we're within 10 days of Christmas. But as we get out about 7 days, that's where your confidence really starts to pick up. We get more and more modeling in, and we'll continue to watch that. Also, later this week, from the Weather Desk, we're going to be talking more about Christmas travel. So hopefully you enjoyed the topics that we covered today. But if you tune in every morning at 9:30, you see these live. Of course, you can always watch them on your time. And that's why we're doing this for our 13 News Now Plus app, so you can access our weather forecast on your time with these deeper dives anytime you want it. If you need to get in touch with me, you can find me on social media, Craig Moeller on Facebook, Craig Moeller TV on Instagram, and on X. I can be found at 13 Craig Moeller. Again, we'll be taking more topics, diving into different ideas, and doing some more kind of collaboratively with other members of our team and other meteorologists around our country with our company, Tagnus. So we look forward to doing even more in the coming future. Again, hopefully you enjoyed it. Remember, you can always check us out with the 13 News Now Plus app. You watch it for free and keep checking back with us. We will keep you guys updated. Have a great Monday. Again, enjoy the next couple of warmer days because here in Hampton Roads, cold weather's coming this weekend.